Tony set fire to all the wheat the villagers had just harvested. Afraid no one would notice, he even shouted and made a scene. The village chief was so angry he wanted to beat him to death. Tony saw this and got even more excited. Worried they couldn't catch up, he slowed down on purpose and led them up the mountain. Just as everyone reached halfway up the mountain, the dam below suddenly burst. Raging floodwaters swallowed the entire wheat field like a beast. Just 2 hours earlier, Tony had just woken up and was going to bring food to his parents, but he suddenly noticed a villager digging outside, with a death countdown over his head. Though it seemed strange to him, he still kindly warned the man, only to be met with scolding and anger. Just as Tony wondered if he was seeing things, a sharp screech of brakes rang out. He turned around and saw the villager hit and killed by a truck. That's when Tony realized he could see signs of impending death. He immediately told his parents, but to his horror, they also had a countdown over their heads. 3 p.m. Death by drowning. He hurried to warn them, but his father angrily knocked him on the head and told him to stop messing around. Tony looked at the other villagers and saw they all had the same warning. He instantly realized the dam near the village was going to collapse and cause a flood, so he grabbed his parents and tried to get them to leave. He also warned everyone else to evacuate before the flood came, but the villagers didn't believe him at all. They had worked this land their whole lives and never once seen a flood. Besides, the dam was built to the highest city standards. There was no way it could break. Seeing no one believed him, Tony tried to convince just his parents to leave with him. Just then, the village chief stormed over angrily, asking if everyone left, who would harvest the wheat, and if the harvest was delayed, who would pay for the lost wages. Tony tried to reason with him, but they all thought he was talking nonsense. Even his father told him to stop being ridiculous. Left with no choice, Tony made a tough decision. He declared that no one would work today unless they followed him, otherwise no one was doing anything. The villagers were furious at his threat. Just as the argument got heated, a dam inspector came over, drawn by the noise. Tony rushed to tell him the dam was about to break, but the inspector thought Tony was mentally unstable, said the dam was perfectly safe. How could it possibly collapse? The villagers all accused Tony of causing panic, saying if they lost a day's pay it was all his fault. Seeing no one believed him, and that it was almost 3 o'clock, Tony completely panicked, and in desperation, he set fire to all the freshly harvested wheat. The village chief ran over in a rage. When he found out Tony did it on purpose, he was ready to beat him to death. Tony turned and ran. His parents stepped in to hold the chief back, giving him time to escape. As Tony reached halfway up the mountain, he caught sight of the chief's tractor. A light bulb went off in his head. He realized the inner tubes of the tires could be used as life buoys. He immediately started dismantling the wheels. Just then the villagers caught up to him. Tony shouted that the flood was almost here, and that these tires could save lives, so he urged everyone to help him take the rest of the tires off. The village chief was furious when he saw this. He yelled at Tony to stop, and was about to beat him on the spot. Tony's parents quickly stepped in, trying to calm the chief down, but the chief said Tony had gone mad, screaming about floods, tearing apart his tractor, and burning the wheat. The other villagers also criticized Tony for acting recklessly. Seeing no one would listen, Tony handed the tire to his mother, begging his parents to trust him no matter what. Everyone sneered at him, saying even if there really was a flood, a tire wouldn't help. The village chief was so mad he stomped his feet. He said if a flood really